What we're looking for here, it's very simple. We just want swing highs, right? That's the highest point NASDAQ has been. And then swing low, the most recent low where we see a level forming, which is that point over there. Okay. Now, so now NASDAQ is between 12477 and 107221, right? Now, what we see here is two things. The last week price was very undecided, as you can see here. What's happening here with this particular candle? It was bearish overall, but very undecided. Today there's 4 days and 10 hours left at this moment while recording this, and it looks like it looks like it's going down, right? And maybe that might be in respect of this particular trend which might be forming. It might go down to touch this low here and then go back up to go touch that resistance zone, down again up until it breaks it, whatever the case may be. But what we're looking for here is very simple. We assume that price may come to this point here, to come and retest this point again before it goes up again. Now, there's a contradiction. So if you go to D1, right, what happens on D1 now is very interesting. We still have our very same swing high and swing low as we mark them on, as we marked the two on weekly. So what's happening here is this trend line which is kind of forming here. You can see, right? So this is the lowest point, recent point. It went up, it went up pole, and then created a lower low. It created another pole, and now it's creating a lower low. But some may say this particular uptrend has been broken. You may be correct. But then what's also happening here is we can see the momentum. Look at how fast this thing went. It took how many days? 1, 2, 3, 4 days to move from point A to point B, right? Even we can put it somewhere there, right? It took 4 days. But now, yeah, just a mere 4 days to get there. But now, to move from the very same point, which is here, just halfway of that, it took 13 days, right? Just to move half of that. So this shows that there is a decline in momentum from sellers. Now, others view this thing as a flag, right? Even if you go to the lower time frame, which is the 4-hour, they will view this as a nice flag which is forming here. Right? There's a flag forming here. Sorry about that. There's a nice flag forming, right? So okay, price now is creating lower lows, right? And lower high. Lower low here, lower high. Lower low here, and then there's this funny thing that's happening here. So we might expect to see another lower low in respect of the zone which is down here, right? There was a lot of conversations that went around this particular zone the past couple of weeks, right? So some are expecting, or we are expecting, price to either come down to this point, retest the zone, and then push up, right? To go and break the highest zone that we have currently as per 1 week, 4-hour, you name it, right? D1, all of those things. So we expect price to come all the way down to retest the zone again. If it does not break, then we will look for evidence around this area for a buy, right? If it breaks this particular area, we'll just wait for a simple retest of the zone, the very same zone, because this zone is confirmed, and then we sell to the downside, right? Okay, cool. But for now, we are more buy biased as opposed to selling, and the explanation is very simple because of the reasons that I just gave. We've got a flag here. We've got a declining momentum, as you saw on D1 to the downside, right? And yeah, even now something very nice just happened. I don't know. We've got so we've got a declining momentum. We've got a pin bar that formed here on Thursday and Friday, right? And this shows that sellers tried to push down, but buyers were stronger than sellers. Now there's another confirmed zone here, right? For those of you that would like me to explain this particular zone, or how do I get these zones, please just use the link below to join our group. Okay, cool. It's a free group. I'm not teaching anything. I'm not a teacher. I'm just sharing my setups with you guys here on YouTube. Right. Okay, cool. So now what happens is, let me just zoom this thing in a bit. It took more time than I anticipated, but it's fine. So we're looking at a retest of this particular candlestick, right? Because this is a nice pin bar. It came down, it retested on Friday. It created another pin bar of some sort. And now it looks like it's retesting for the upside. It's still stuck in that particular zone. And because of momentum also agrees with what we're trying to do and the structure of this setup. Low, lower, high, lower, low, lower, high. I mean, higher, high, sorry, lower, low, higher, high, and then lower, low, higher, high, right? And then now, this is what, according to structure and nature of how anything moves in the market, this is a lower high. Now, because we've got this nature, it agrees, the momentum agrees with what we were trying to do. This thing is stuck on a zone. It only makes sense for us to look for buying opportunities, right? We also have a couple of confirmations. As I explained, we've got a pin bar there that shows that we might be looking for nice buy opportunities. But then I'm a very cautious trader. I do not just take buys because of what candlesticks have said. I combine a lot of things to come to a conclusion, right? So I've already spoken about momentum. I've already spoken about the area here. It's the same area, just that it was removed because I said things that I draw on D1 must display there and not on the hours. Sometimes they're a bit messy. But yeah, so we're still in the same area. And then price is still stuck there. Now what I did is I went further down to go look for further confirmations on lower time frames. We're still within the channel, we're still here. Now, if you go to 15 minutes, right, which is where I go and take trades, but this trades are based on what I saw on higher time frames. So I'm here looking for a buy. I'm not here trying to find a setup. I'm here looking for entry. That's the most important thing. I'm not here to try and find setups. I'm here looking for entry, right? Now, what's happening here is we've got the situation. Let me go back to D1 so that you guys can still remember where we are. We are at the bottom, nicer on H4. We are still stuck in this particular zone. Now, what we're looking for, maybe let me just put this one here so that it makes sense to everyone. What we're looking for, which will be clearer on lower time frames, is that we're looking for price to either go up, break this particular zone, this pink zone here, right? This is further confirmations. Retest this zone here. This would have broken two things. It would have broken the flag, which shows that now momentum is shifting to the upside. It would have broken this mini resistance zone, which is much clearer on H1. And then what we do then, we find a retest. We look for information there to buy. We mostly look for that information in lower time frames, and then we take a buy, right? That is what we're looking for. Now, when we go to lower time frames, let me just clear this thing, clear that in a second. All right, so when we go to lower time frame, we're still looking for the same thing, right? So this is just a bit too much here, a bit messy. It's fine. We're looking for price to bounce from where it is currently, go up, break this particular resistance zone, retest, and then we buy. We're still looking for the same thing. 30 minutes, we're still looking for the same thing, right? Everywhere we go, we're still looking for the same thing. Now, here is what's happening. On lower time frames, we've got another support zone. This zone, it's an extremely minor zone. Ne? The main one is the one which we have here on H4. This huge one, this one that looks very huge. This is the main one. You see, there's one inside one. This is the main one, the one on daily. This one is our main support zone at this point in time, right? But because we're looking for entries and we want to find the best entry possible, we also draw zones at lower time frames, but they're not reliable It is just for entry. We already decided that we're looking for buy opportunities. Sharp. So which means when you do enter on those time frames, your stop loss will be based on a higher time frame zone. So you'll put your stop loss somewhere here, right? And then you'll be targeting that particular zone if you do enter now, right? But then you must also monitor your trade to go look at this minor zone. If it's broken, if it's not, if it's still struggling, whatever the case may be, because price may continue just play around this area and never break. But if it breaks, then you've got further confirmations for those of you that have higher, big accounts, then you re-enter, right? The trade, the setup that I'm showing you now, the one that's forming now, it's a high risk setup. The much more which is not high risk, it's obvious there's risk every time, but this one after the breakout here, after price breaks out here, and then what have I done? After price breaks out, retests here, right? Price breaks out, retests, and then boom. This one over here, and then in that case we'll have something like this, right? And then your stop loss will be somewhere here. This one over here, this is the one which is low risk because we've broken out of two things: the downtrend, right? And then would be creating some sort of head and shoulders, even though it's not so clean, which is a reversal pattern. We are also retesting a resistance zone that we just broke out. So this one is safer, unlike the one that we're on right now. Sure. Okay, cool. Now, okay. So now let me just go to the lower time frame after explaining what I just explained. All right. Now we want 15 minutes. Right. We've got this minor resistance zone. Price was stuck in between here, right? It eventually broke out, if you can see. But as I've explained, you see, as I've explained, lower time frames are not as reliable as higher time frames. Now this thing evidently broke out. It broke out. It came all the way back here, right? There was nothing to say we should buy again. Ideally, we should have had a setup which says buy again, right? And that particular setup would have encouraged us to go and try and break this particular downtrend. You see, on a lower time frame, right? If we had a confirmation on this resistance here, which is now a support, we were gonna come here again, maybe a pin bar, whatever we'd use for confirmation, a pin bar, momentum, nature, all those things that we use for Fibonacci retracement zones, all of them. And then we get a setup here to buy to the downside, because the logic is the same. You break, you retest, we buy, or we sell, right? And then we buy to the upside to go to this particular level, which is here, right? To this level over here. If you look at this, this is the same level that I've highlighted on H4. Né? To go to this level over here, break this level, retest again, we buy again, and then we go up, right? But now, up until it breaks either down here or up there, that's when we will decide whether we should buy or sell, right? Now, we're waiting. We're patiently waiting, right? Since this thing did not give us any setup, what we're looking for is still the same thing. We're still here. We're looking for that, right? Because this is merely, if you look at this is just merely weak, where there's two candlesticks. Now, hopefully, what we will get from here, we'll get a breakout, right, from this zone over there to the upside, right, and then we get a nice retest here, right, and then we look for further evidence. Remember, it doesn't mean whenever you get a retest, then you buy. Then we continue buying to the upside. But these are small setups. You need to continuously monitor this. The major one is still the one on H4, the one that I've showed everyone. Okay. If you please comment, ask questions, I will answer. If you think that I haven't touched anything majorly, please also